Hi there, welcome to Homekeepers, my friend. Can you stop for a cup of tea and just join me today? It's going to be a good program, but you know the blessing is that we can connect this way. And when you write to us, I can't tell you how much it means. Wanda will bring me a letter, I'll take one to her, and we're just very, very thankful for you. I think one of the greatest letters I got recently was she said, you always say at the end, there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. And she said, I've been a homekeeper, said, but I never felt that I had value. I never felt anything mattered. And she said, now I know it does. Absolutely. You're doing the most important job in the whole wide world. So this is an important ministry, and we're getting that message out. Also, we're educating people. And that's because of the wonderful guests that the Lord sends to us constantly. He sends us doctors. He sends scientists. He sends people who are great in apologetics. And it's just, for me, it's just a great education to sit here, and then we can pass it on to you. Well, that's what's going to happen today. Dr. Stephen Masley has written the book, The Better Brain Solution. And it's a wonderful book. We'll be talking more about it, but he's my guest today, and a gentleman that can really teach us something. I'll tell you, the first thing I thought when I began to read this book was, thank God, they're really exploring the brain. And he makes the case here that Alzheimer's can almost be reversed, that the message in here tells us how we can take better care of our brain, and I think that is a great, great message. And you will hear him articulate all this good information, so I'm so glad he's here. And I'm going to join Wanda. We're going to make cream of wild rice soup. We've never done any wild rice on here, and I love it. I just truly love it. But in all these years, we've never had a recipe with it. So today is the day. Before I join her, though, I want to again remind you we are viewer supported. That means we're supported by you, my friend. You're the viewer. And we've put the address and the phone number on the screen. I've always believed that if viewers would just respond to those instincts that the Holy Spirit deals with us, every need would be met. So you can send your gift to Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758, or call me at 1-800-229-0059, although I probably won't answer the phone on that one, but you can give all your information there, and we will be so very, very grateful. And now I've joined Wanda again. Stephanie is not here today, but it's smelling good.
Smelling
what have
really
we done
good
so far?
Well, we have chopped up some celery and there's some shredded carrots in here, and there's an onion, one large onion that was chopped, and we've been in a quarter cup of butter. We've just been sautéing until it becomes slightly opaque. We're really supposed to do it till they're done, but we're not going to have time for that.
Our viewers are used to that.
So this is a quarter cup of flour. So I'm going to just mix it in here. Coat the vegetables really, really well. And you want to make a little paste here before you add your chicken broth.
And this is an interesting recipe. I always look for that one ingredient that's going to kick it in. I think on this one it's some evaporated milk. I would never have guessed that.
Well, I know a lot of people that make mashed potatoes using evaporated milk.
Do they?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, my mother-in-law did.
Yep.
Yes, she did.
And they have a different flavor, but they're very good. Right?
Oh, it's creamier, richer.
Yes, it is. Add that in there.
This is...
that's 4 cups of chicken broth right there.
Chicken broth. And you need...
Need 4 more.
This much
calls
more.
for 8 cups.
Okay, here it comes. I'm so thankful that they...
Did you measure that?
No,
you just know.
Yeah, I just know.
Boy, you're smarter than a thump.
Isn't it wonderful that we can go buy chicken broth and we don't have to go out and get the chicken out of the pen and kill it and boil it? This is very, very convenient. Think that's enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Finger. All right. And then, let's see. Broth, and I guess we can stir in the rice, chicken, salt, and pepper.
What about the milk? Is it going to last?
Thicken. We'll stir in that's last.
Okay.
Anyway,
So this is like a rotisserie chicken that we've just chopped up a little bit. A lot of good ingredients
all
there.
Good the last drops, my grandma would say.
Yeah, those grandmothers, they never wasted.
They didn't make no.
And this is your wild rice. And wild rice, I think, is more nutty and crunchy. than the regular. And this is, okay, and then let's go ahead and put the milk in, although we're hurrying this up a little bit.
Yeah, you're hurrying me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, how about the salt and pepper?
Salt and pepper, okay, here it comes.
I'm trying to slow you down. Oh, God.
You know, it is
Is
so,
that sticking?
yeah, it's so humid in Florida that even here, that is looking good.
Yeah, and what is that? Is that
Well,
to
the
top
onions,
it off?
they might go on the top.
All right.
Okay, so let's put this, it's going to give
All right, just put it in there. You can't wait to get that cream in.
creamy, rich. I got to talk to the doctor, you know?
Yes. And you know, this will thicken as it heats up because it's already getting
I think
there.
that you want it to simmer.
Well, yeah, because we didn't really cook the celery down as much as we should have, or the carrots.
I would say, though, that this is so rich, it could be an entree very, very easily.
It really is. I think it's very good. So
I usually keep homemade soup in my freezer. You know, make.
Well, you make your own.
And I put it in jars in the freezer, and it really comes in handy. That is beautiful.
Do you want to try at least what the broth might taste like?
No, well, just put a little tiny bit in.
Well, go ahead. Put a little tiny in.
Because
add some little chives
that'll
on
give
top.
you an idea, but
Here.
all of our smart viewers out there know it needs to simmer a while.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
oh boy, oh boy,
Okay.
you want this one, and just think it's not even cooked through yet. But I am right. It's so full. It's so rich with the chicken and all that other stuff, and it really is a wonderful entree. Okay, if you want this recipe, the information's coming up on your screen. We always say email is the fastest, the best way, but if you don't have that, we have other ways you can get it, and you'll get that information. And I want you to meet my guest, Dr. Stephen Masley, because he is really going to educate you about the brain, and I think that is exciting. Exciting, exciting. Anytime medical science makes an advance forward like that, we can all benefit. So stay with us.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, you may receive it by contacting us through social media as listed on the screen. When requesting a copy through the mail, be sure to include a self-addressed stamped envelope. Thank you, and please know we always appreciate hearing from our viewers.
Dr. Stephen Masley, so glad to have you on Homekeepers.
Delighted to be with you.
My Homekeepers viewers are well familiar with Deborah Ray, friend of yours, and she gave me this book that you've written, The Better Brain Solution. We want to talk about that, but I'd like to talk first a little bit about your background. When you were a little boy, did you always want to be a doctor?
You know, when I was a little boy, my dad was a surgeon, and he was gone at the hospital. So if I wanted to see him, before I could drive a car, I would pedal my bike to the hospital. And, you know, back in the 1960s, if your dad was like the head surgeon at the hospital, I would just put on scrubs, check in with the head nurse, scrub up,
No kidding.
and walk right into surgery. Now, today, fortunately, that would be illegal. But then, in the 1960s, that's just how I talked to my dad.
Well, that was kind of on-the-job training, I guess. Do you do surgery?
No, no. I mean, my dad, I probably would have loved if I'd been a surgeon, but I wanted to be. So I grew up as a kid thinking my people loved my dad. You know, they felt he saved their lives over and over. But I thought as a child, people went to the hospital and they were tortured. I grew up wanting to be a doctor that kept people out of the hospital. And I think that's what I've become.
You're my kind of doctor. I just read recently all the mistakes that can go on in a hospital. So I'd say if you can't stay out, it's probably a good idea.
It's pretty scary now.
Yes. Now, give me a list of I've written it down, but I'd rather hear it from you, of not only degrees, but fellowships and things that really is quite impressive all you're involved in medicine.
Well, I've been involved in research since the early 1990s. I've done one of the first physicians in the country to do group visits, and I've published over 20 trials and clinical trials. So I've had the experience and the opportunity to really make a difference. And I got awarded a fellow from the American Heart Association, the American College of Nutrition, and the American Academy of Family Physician. I'm really proud of those, and those represent, research and looking at how can lifestyle improve our health.
And I certainly congratulate you on those. They're perhaps a bit late. Now, you've written a book on the heart.
Yes.
And what's the name of that? They might want to know that.
The 30-day heart tune-up.
Okay, 30-day heart tune-up. I like that title. We're talking about the Better Brain Solution, and it really grabbed me to think that maybe finally, after many centuries, decades, that they're really studying the brain and to see what affects it and what can improve it and what won't and what we're doing wrong with it. What was it that piqued your interest to write a book on the brain?
Well, in my clinic, we measure how people age. We measure, are they growing plaque or not in their arteries? We also measure brain processing speed and memory. We do computerized tests to look at how does your brain function. And we realized that, having measured brain function in over 1,000 patients, but we also looked at what they eat, their nutrient intake, their fitness, how they manage stress, and do they have toxins that they're exposed to. And those 5 factors have a big impact on the brain. So we've published studies showing that if you make the right choices, you can actually improve your brain function, increase your brain processing speed by over 25%.
Most of it doesn't cost much either. We're not talking about expensive pills.
No, we're talking about right choices that we make every day.
Yes. We're going to put your website up on the screen, and I noticed as I looked at you even have recipes in there.
I do. I have a recipe of the week on Saturdays we send out for people. Okay.
Occasionally, sluggishness is different than continuing gradual decline. And you say, fortunately, they can be delayed or prevented. So are we going to just feel sluggish once in a while just because we're on this earth and we're trying to function, but it's not a long-range problem?
Well, yes. If we make not the right choices, we don't get a good night's sleep, we skip our exercise. I think that all of those makes us a little more sluggish. We feel a little brain fog. And if you do those things every day, then that becomes kind of scary because, Alzheimer's disease is the most expensive disease in the U.S. today. We spend more on memory loss than we spend on heart disease or on cancer. And it's going to double in the next 12 years. The rate is increasing rapidly. So it's a huge problem. But the good news is we can prevent most of it. We can really make a huge difference and improve people's brain function so they feel sharper, quicker, and more productive.
That's what we like on this program, some good news. Now, you talk a lot about blood sugar, and there are 2 diabetics in my family, and I'm somewhat familiar with it, but as the more I read your book, I thought, I don't know what I should know. Is there a normal blood sugar? Because with a diabetic, it can go too low or it can go too high. Is that true if you're not a diabetic?
Well, your blood sugar shouldn't be high. I look at, the standard cutoff is 100, but even 95, below 95 is clearly better than a level of 100, which is where the beginning of pre-diabetes. By the time you get to 110, which some doctors would say, oh, you're fine, but you're actually injuring your brain when your blood sugars are even mildly elevated. So the #1 cause for accelerated memory loss is sugar in our food and sugar in our bloodstream. And the #1 cause for heart disease is the same. It's too much sugar, too many refined carbs, processed food, sugar in our food, and it's killing us.
That's what is so interesting, that the same thing that can bother or help your brain does the same thing for your heart, for the most part.
They're intimately connected. There's all these, when we looked in our clinic at what predicts memory loss, the strongest predictor was really artery plaque growth. If you're growing plaque in your arteries, your brain is shrinking at the same time. And here's the good news though, we have hundreds of people who've shrunk their artery plaque and improved their brain function at the same time.
Now, how do you, I would assume you need a physician to determine artery plaque, but what about blood sugar? My son has a thing that measures it that's not even connected to him. It's amazing. It's in the car when he drives or wherever he goes. He can lay it on his desk and it'll tell him.
Yeah, there's sensors now to measure blood sugar.
What about normal people like myself? How would I measure blood sugar?
Usually if you go to your doctor once or twice a year and they ever do blood work, I mean, that's one of the more common things we measure is a fasting blood sugar level.
But just your average person, they don't need to carry around some kind of a device to measure it?
No, but you should make sure the first sign your sugar level's going up can be brain fog. You know, things like you forget why you walked into a room, you forget names, have trouble finding your car after you parked it, you have to reread a passage in a book. Those are all signs of brain fog. And then the second one is an expanding waistline. If your waistline is expanding, that's a really worrisome sign that your blood sugar is going up.
I believe that maybe it was First Lady Michelle Obama who really put a spotlight on childhood obesity, which I thought was great. You mentioned in your book how I believe both Alzheimer's and obesity can bring our health system down.
Well, it's increasing. I mean, think about it. The most expensive disease today, $215 billion a year, is projected to double in the next 12 to 15 years. I mean, we're talking over $400 billion a year just for Alzheimer's. We can't afford that. But again, we can prevent it by giving people the right food, the right nutrients, activity, stress management, avoiding toxins, an easy 5-step program to protect your brain. We can stop what, you know, is almost going to be a plague upon us unless we do something to prevent it.
I just noticed, just living my life, I notice in the stores, if I'm going to buy clothes, that there are more and more bigger sizes.
Yes.
I wear, I'm sure you want to know this, a 6 or an 8 size jean, depends on, and I was in the store the other day and they started at size 10 and go way up, and the plus sizes are getting bigger. Also, when you go in a big grocery store, there's more people, you know, riding around the store instead of walking. And this is just what we observe in everyday life. The statistics might really scare us.
Well, more than a third of people are obese. More than a third are overweight. And of the third who are normal weight, at least a third are normal weight because they're sick. They have like cancer. So I mean, it's really a small percentage of people today that are at a normal weight. And the biggest problem is the sad standard American diet. We're eating the wrong food. And we need to change what we eat. And that could totally transform our health for the better.
Okay, now some of the myths of Alzheimer's, or is there a difference in dementia and Alzheimer's?
Dementia is a broader term. Dementia basically means you are disabled from memory loss. Alzheimer's is a specific type. So there's several types. You could have multiple strokes. Well, that would be a vascular form of dementia. Or your brain could be gradually shrinking and you're forming beta amyloid in these tau proteins. That's Alzheimer's. That's 70%, approximately 70% of dementia cases out there today.
Is it true that Alzheimer's is not absolutely diagnosed until death, when they can really look at the brain?
Well, technically, it's a biopsy. So you have to have a brain, you know, you have to see the beta amyloid protein and these tau fibrils. So I think you're correct. But we're able to, you know, basically diagnose it by the history, gradual memory loss. We do an MRI, we see gradual brain shrinkage. You can even now, you know, collect body fluid and look at beta amyloid levels. So,
and what is a beta amyloid? That's a brand new word for me.
Beta amyloid, that's the protein we form that's sticky and inflammatory that is a sign of Alzheimer's disease. It may not be the cause. It could be like if there's an infection in the brain, you make beta amyloid to protect it, but that beta amyloid is a inflammatory
It's not
sticky.
good.
It's a sign. It's a sign of a shrinking brain.
You know, my mom lived to be 100, and she's pretty sharp till the last 7 or 8 years as there was that decline. But I had read a couple books on Alzheimer's, and I never thought she had it, according to all those stats. That her, you know, she just kept deteriorating because it seemed like there were specific things that went along with Alzheimer's that I never saw with her, but never dreamed there was anything you could do to stop it or reverse it. And so that's why I'm glad.
Well, now we know there is, and now we know there's hope to really make a difference. 5 easy steps to transform your life, improve your brain function, and prevent memory loss.
Yes, and if you just joined me, I'm talking to Dr. Stephen Masley, and I'd like to have 3 hours to talk to him. He wrote The Better Brain Solution. There's information on the screen right now as to how you could get it. And let me tell you, I could understand it. It is well written in layman's terms and well documented, has a lot of recipes that are good for the brain. And so I'm delighted to bring you to my Homekeepers viewers. Okay, I'm going to read this. Here's some myths about dementia or just brain deterioration maybe. It only comes to old people. Memory loss is a normal part of aging. Is that absolutely wrong?
It's not a normal part of it. We shouldn't lose our memory. We should stay sharp and alert. So,
and I've met people like that. They were up in their 90s and they were sharper than I am.
but we have to make the right choices for that to happen.
Memory loss caused by vaccines and flu shots.
No, that's not. There's no evidence that you get memory loss from vaccines.
Okay. Aluminum. We've always heard that. If you cook in aluminum.
Not really true. Yeah, I'm not recommending people go out and ingest aluminum, but that data just never panned out. So no, we don't think there's a big relationship between aluminum and memory loss.
Because my mother cooked in aluminum when we were growing up.
Yeah, lead, mercury, those are the heavy metals that are associated with memory loss.
But if we put some foil over something we put in the oven, don't worry about it. Aluminum
I think
foil.
that's okay. Yeah, just don't put plastic over things and cook with them. That would be worse.
Really? You are a fountain of information. Okay, another myth, you cannot improve memory loss. That's a myth?
It is. We've actually shown in our
Good.
clinic that our average patient going through our program improves their memory by 25%, their brain function. So we actually now know that if you make the right choices, the right food, the right nutrients, the right activities, you can improve your brain.
That is good news. Also that Alzheimer's disease won't kill you.
Once you get advanced Alzheimer's, it's almost universally fatal. Unless you die of something else,
Yes.
it's terrible. I've seen it in my own family with my own, my stepfather Chuck, my mother-in-law Joy. I mean, both of them suffered from dementia. Joy had Alzheimer's. It was awful. I don't want anybody to have to go through that. And what was worse, it was harder on the family than it was them.
Yes.
So nobody wants to become a burden on their loved ones. And that's what happens with this disease. It's terrible.
What is the mechanism that finally takes their life? Is there a heart connection?
Well, eventually, you wouldn't eat unless someone fed you. You don't get up and walk. Your brain, not only do you not recognize your loved ones, not only are you incontinent and have to wear a diaper, but you're not moving. You're just sitting inert with no stimulation. And then eventually you'll get an infection or something will happen, but the real cause of it was the brain shrinkage.
This is the last myth. There are treatments for Alzheimer's. Is that a myth?
Well, there's no drugs. There's 200 FDA-approved medications for memory loss. Not a single one has been shown to slow the progression of the disease. And the latest one that was out, they had big hopes. They'd spent millions on it. They just pulled it from the market because it just wasn't working. So even the hoped for in the future has been dropped. We don't have a single med that really stops the progression. But we can make that change with the 5 easy steps that are part of the Better Brain Solution.
And we're out of time, but the next time you're on, we're going to talk about the 5 easy steps. I thank you for being here today to educate my wonderful viewers, and you stay with me. Have a couple things to say before we have to say goodbye.
Arthelene would like you to keep the following information handy. You may contact Homekeepers by writing to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758, or go to www.rippy.org. Remember, we always enjoy hearing from our viewers, and we thank you for your support.
Okay, let me remind you, my friends, that we are viewer supported. I believe I mentioned that at the top of the show. And we have the information on the screen. I know how the Lord deals with me about giving when He puts something on my heart. I have learned to go take care of it. I go write that check and send it out wherever He impresses me to send it. And I am convinced that I'm speaking to a lot of people who have watched us a long, long time. And you've always intended to give to the program. Well, this is a good day to do that. So the information is on your screen, 1-800-229-0059 for the credit cards, or the address, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. And that will help us. Every bill would be paid, you know, if people just follow the prompting of the Holy Spirit when it comes to giving. Wasn't that great? Wasn't that a great doctor? As he was talking, the scripture came to me, that good understanding giveth favor. That's in Proverbs. And the more we understand these things and would follow the principles that seem to come from great research, and thank God that He creates people that are so curious about heart and lung and brain and all of those things that can break down. But if we could avoid the breakdown, what a better life we would have, how much richer. And as I said at the top of the program, I'm thrilled that they are studying the brain. I've gotten more books on my desk recently about the brain than probably have come out in the last 10, 15 years. So thank God. And I've often said, I probably said it on this program, we ought to pray for our researchers. Thank God for those that will delve into a subject and come up with some answers that can make our lives better and richer. I think this book can. I hope you got all the information on it. As I mentioned in the interview, it's a layman's book. You can understand this book. And you could tell how articulate my guest was, and the book is like that as well. Thank you so much for being with us. We love you dearly. Please know that. Join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.